upset. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been feeling drained, sluggish, and stuck in a cycle of low energy, upset, I want you to know something important. Fatigue is not normal. It's not your destiny. Upset. It's a sign, a signal from your body that some fatigue is one of the most common complaints people face today. Upset. Yet it is often brushed off as something normal or just part of life. You hear people say, upset. I'm tired all the time, or I just don't have energy anymore. And they accept it as inevitable. Upset, like getting older or being busy. But fatigue is not normal. It's a signal. Upset. It's your body's way of communicating that something deeper is out of balance. Upset. And ignoring it only allows the problem to grow. When you feel persistent fatigue, upset, it means your body's energy system is struggling. Energy isn't just about sleep or rest. Upset. It's about how well your cells can produce and use fuel. Upset. Every single one of your trillions of cells contains tiny power plants called mitochondria. Upset. And these mitochondria are responsible for producing energy in the form of ATP. If they're not working efficiently, upset. You will feel tired no matter how much coffee you drink or how many hours you sleep. Upset. Fatigue is the first sign that these systems are compromised. Upset. One of the main reasons people normalize fatigue is because it creeps in gradually. Upset. You may notice a little less energy in the afternoon, then a heavier crash after meals, then difficulty waking up in the morning. Upset. Over time, you get used to it and think this is just who you are. Upset. But what's really happening is that your body is waving red flags. Upset. Telling you that the way you're fueling and managing yourself is not sustainable. Fatigue can come from blood sugar swings. Upset. Nutrient deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, or even chronic stress. Each of these issues chips away at your vitality. Upset. And the result is constant exhaustion that feels impossible to escape. Let's consider the impact of diet on fatigue. Upset. Most people rely heavily on carbohydrates and sugar for quick bursts of energy. While these foods might give a temporary boost, upset, they quickly lead to crashes. When your blood sugar spikes and then plummets, your cells are left in an energy crisis. Upset. The more this cycle repeats, the less stable your energy becomes. Over time, the body becomes insulin resistant. Upset. Meaning glucose can't even enter the cells efficiently. The mitochondria are starved of proper fuel. Upset. And fatigue becomes the new baseline. What seems like normal tiredness is actually a metabolic problem in disguise. Upset. Nutrient deficiencies are another overlooked cause. The body cannot create energy out of nothing. It needs raw materials. Upset. Magnesium, potassium, B vitamins, iron, and trace minerals. These nutrients act like spark plugs for the mitochondria. Upset. Without them, the machinery slows down. Upset. Imagine trying to run a car on an empty tank or without oil. It may sputter along for a while, but eventually it stalls. Upset. That's what fatigue is, your body stalling because the engine lacks what it needs to function. Upset. Stress plays a massive role as well. When you are under chronic stress, your adrenal glands pump out cortisol. Upset. Cortisol is useful in short bursts. It helps you respond to immediate challenges. But when it stays elevated for too long, upset, it drains your energy reserves. High cortisol disrupts sleep, weakens your immune system. Upset, and forces your body to operate in survival mode. This is exhausting, both physically and mentally. Upset. Many people live in this constant stress response and don't even realize it because it feels normal. Upset. But their fatigue is evidence of the toll it is taking. Upset. The key point here is that fatigue should never be brushed off as something you just have to live with. Upset. It is your body's early warning system. When you listen to it, upset, you gain the chance to uncover what's really going wrong and correct it before it develops into more serious conditions like insulin resistance. upset. Thyroid problems or chronic burnout. Treat fatigue not as your fate, but as feedback. It is an invitation to change your diet, upset. Support your cells with the nutrients they need, manage your stress more effectively, and allow your body to heal, upset. When you start addressing the root causes, instead of covering them up with stimulants or excuses, upset, you realize that your natural state is not exhaustion, it is vitality, upset. Would you like me to write the same way for the other S5 keynotes, each around 600 words, upset, so you'll have a complete set for a longer speech or even a booklet? Thing needs to change, upset. Sugar and refined carbohydrates are some of the most deceptive substances in the modern diet. On the surface, upset. They seem harmless or even comforting. A donut in the morning, a sandwich with white bread at lunch, a soda in the afternoon, upset. Maybe a plate of pasta at dinner. This is the way many people eat without thinking twice, upset. Yet behind the short, lived pleasure they provide lies a cycle that quietly drains energy and keeps fatigue alive, upset. The problem is that sugar and refined carbs trick the body into believing it has energy, while actually setting up a crash that leaves you worse off than before, upset. When you consume sugar or refined carbs, they are quickly broken down into glucose. This causes your blood sugar to rise rapidly, upset, giving you that familiar burst of energy. But what goes up must come down. The body releases insulin to lower the sugar levels, upset, pushing glucose into the cells. The drop that follows can be steep, leaving you shaky, irritable, and tired, upset. This is what people call a sugar crash. In the short term, you may reach for more sugar to pick yourself up again, upset, and the cycle repeats. Over time, this roller coaster becomes exhausting for your system, upset, depleting your energy and robbing you of vitality. Refined carbs are especially problematic because they lack the fiber, upset, vitamins and minerals that slow down absorption, upset. Whole foods like vegetables or berries come with natural fibers and nutrients that buffer the release of sugar into the bloodstream, upset. But when the fiber and nutrients are stripped away, as with white bread, pastries, upset, or sweetened drinks, you're left with a concentrated form of glucose that overwhelms the body, upset. This doesn't just cause fatigue, it also lays the groundwork for more serious issues like insulin resistance, prediabetes, upset, and eventually type 2 diabetes. Another way sugar steals energy is by depleting nutrients. Every time your body processes sugar, upset, it requires key vitamins and minerals such as B vitamins, magnesium, and chromium. The more sugar you consume, upset, the more of these nutrients are used up. Eventually, you're left in a state of depletion, upset, where your cells lack the very raw materials they need to produce energy, upset. It's like trying to build a house without enough bricks. You can't finish the job, upset. This nutrient drain is one of the hidden reasons so many people feel constantly tired, even if they eat plenty of calories, upset. Excess sugar also contributes to inflammation. High levels of glucose trigger oxidative stress and damage tissues, upset. This inflammatory response doesn't always cause pain that you can notice right away, upset, but it creates a constant drain on your system. Inflammation forces your immune system to stay on alert, upset, which diverts energy away from your day to day needs. Over time, upset. This chronic inflammation contributes not only to fatigue, but also to brain fog, mood swings, and a weakened immune defense, upset. The most troubling effect of refined carbs is how addictive they can be, upset. Sugar lights up the same reward centers in the brain as addictive substances, creating cravings that are difficult to resist, upset. This means even when you know sugar is making you tired, you may find yourself reaching for it again and again, upset. The short-lived energy rush feels good in the moment, but it keeps you locked in a cycle that slowly erodes your vitality, upset. Breaking free from this addiction is often the turning point for people who want to restore lasting energy. Upset. Replacing sugar and refined carbs with nutrient-dense foods creates a completely different energy profile in the body. Upset. When you eat healthy fats, proteins, and vegetables, your blood sugar remains stable, your insulin response is balanced. Upset, and your cells are able to use fuel more efficiently. Instead of crashing in the afternoon, you find yourself steady, focused, upset, and alert. Over time, your body adapts to burning fat as its primary source of fuel, which is cleaner, more stable. Upset, and far less likely to cause the ups and downs associated with sugar. Upset. This shift doesn't just remove fatigue, it creates a foundation for mental clarity, better mood, and long-term health. Upset. Many people don't realize that their normal tiredness, irritability, or brain fog is not simply a part of life. Upset. It is the direct effect of relying on sugar and refined carbs to get through the day. By breaking free from these foods, upset, you free yourself from the roller coaster of crashes and cravings. The result is energy that is steady, sustainable, upset, and deeply nourishing. Instead of being controlled by quick fixes, you take control of your vitality. Upset. And that is when true transformation begins. Do you want me to move on and write Keynote 3 intermittent fasting in the same style and length next? Upset. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful tools for restoring energy and vitality because it changes the way the body produces fuel. Upset. Most people are stuck in a pattern of eating 3 meals a day plus snacks, which constantly supplies the body with glucose. Upset. While this might feel normal, it keeps you dependent on sugar for energy, and sugar is not a clean or reliable fuel source. Upset. The result is that you feel sluggish, foggy, and trapped in cycles of hunger and tiredness. Upset. Intermittent fasting shifts you away from this dependence and allows your body to tap into its fat reserves, creating a steady, upset, long-lasting source of energy. When you go without food for several hours, your body begins to lower its insulin levels. Upset. This is crucial because high insulin keeps fat locked away, unavailable as a fuel source. By allowing insulin to drop, upset. Intermittent fasting gives your body permission to access stored fat. Fat, when burned for energy, produces ketones, upset, which are a cleaner and more efficient fuel than glucose. Unlike sugar, ketones don't cause spikes and crashes. Upset. They provide a smooth, steady supply of energy that fuels both the body and the brain. Upset. People who adopt fasting often notice a dramatic increase in mental clarity, focus, and stamina. Upset. Simply because their energy is no longer dictated by the constant rise and fall of blood sugar. Upset. Another benefit of intermittent fasting is that it gives your digestive system a break. Upset. Constant eating forces your body to use energy for digestion around the clock, which leaves less energy available for repair. Upset. Detoxification and healing. When you space out your meals or shorten your eating window, upset, your body can redirect resources towards cellular repair processes like autophagy. Upset. Autophagy is the body's way of cleaning out damaged cells and replacing them with healthier ones. Upset. This process not only improves energy production at the cellular level, but also slows aging and supports long-term vitality. Upset. Fasting also helps stabilize hunger signals. Upset. Many people are surprised to find that when they stop snacking and allow insulin to drop, upset, their appetite actually becomes more controlled. They no longer feel the desperate need to eat every few hours. Upset. This is because fat burning creates a buffer of energy that can be accessed at any time. Upset. So the body doesn't panic when food is not immediately available. Upset. This stability translates into better energy levels throughout the day and eliminates the crashes that often drive people to reach for sugar or caffeine. Upset. From a nutrient perspective, intermittent fasting enhances efficiency. When you eat less often but choose nutrient-dense meals, upset. Your body absorbs and utilizes those nutrients more effectively. Instead of overwhelming the system with constant food, upset. You give it concentrated bursts of high-quality fuel that support cellular energy production, upset. Pairing fasting with foods rich in potassium, magnesium, and trace minerals strengthens the mitochondria, upset. Making the energy produced even more sustainable. Stress reduction is another overlooked benefit, upset. While people worry that fasting will increase stress, the opposite often happens. Once the body adapts, upset. Fasting lowers oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which drain energy. It also improves insulin sensitivity, upset, meaning the body requires less effort to manage blood sugar, upset. This reduction in metabolic stress creates a sense of lightness and vitality that is impossible to achieve when you are constantly eating and relying on sugar as fuel, upset. The real transformation comes from consistency, upset. Intermittent fasting is not about starving yourself, but about changing when you eat so your body can switch fuel sources, upset. Most people start with a simple approach like skipping breakfast and eating within a 6 to 8 hour window. Over time, upset. The body adapts, energy improves, and mental clarity becomes the new normal, upset. The longer fasting lifestyle not only restores vitality, but also gives people freedom from the constant obsession with food, upset. Instead of being controlled by hunger, you control your energy and your health. The lesson here is simple, upset. If you want to move from fatigue to vitality, you need to move from burning sugar to burning fat, upset. Intermittent fasting is the bridge that makes this shift possible, upset. It unlocks a source of energy that is already inside you and allows you to experience the natural clarity and stamina your body was designed for, upset. The freedom and power that come from fasting are not temporary. They are the foundation of lasting transformation. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 4 on nutrient density in the same detailed style, upset? The human body is a remarkable energy producing system, but like any system, it cannot function without the right raw materials, upset. Energy is not something that magically appears. It is created at the cellular level, particularly within the mitochondria, upset, which act as power plants. For these power plants to operate efficiently, they need specific nutrients, upset. When those nutrients are missing, energy production slows down, and the result is fatigue, upset. This is why prioritizing nutrient density is one of the most important steps in transforming health and unlocking vitality, upset. Many people think in terms of calories when it comes to food, but calories alone do not guarantee energy, upset. You can eat plenty of calories from processed foods, upset, yet still feel drained and weak because those calories lack the vitamins and minerals required to convert food into usable fuel, upset. In fact, upset. Calorie-rich but nutrient-poor foods actually deplete the body further because they require nutrients to process but don't provide them, upset. This creates a hidden form of malnutrition, even in people who appear to eat enough. The missing link is nutrient density, upset. Foods that deliver high amounts of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients relative to their calorie content. Potassium, upset, for example, is one of the most underappreciated nutrients for energy. It supports the electrical activity of the cells, upset, particularly in the muscles and nerves, and helps regulate fluid balance. Without enough potassium, upset, cells struggle to generate the proper electrical impulses, leading to fatigue, weakness, and even muscle cramps. Unfortunately, upset, the standard diet is often far too low in potassium, since most people don't consume enough vegetables and leafy greens, upset. Magnesium is another critical nutrient that plays a role in over 300 biochemical reactions, upset. many of which are directly related to energy production. It helps activate ATP, the body's energy currency. Upset. Without adequate magnesium, the mitochondria cannot function optimally and fatigue becomes inevitable. Foods like spinach, upset. Almonds and avocados are excellent sources, yet many people fall short because processed foods dominate their meals. B vitamins, especially B1, B2, B3, B6, and B12, act as coenzymes in the energy pathways. Upset. They are like helpers that enable enzymes to convert food into energy. Without them, the entire process slows down. Upset, creating a bottleneck in metabolism. Upset. This is one reason why people who consume alcohol or excessive refined carbs often feel drained. Upset. Both of these habits deplete B vitamins. Eating foods like eggs, salmon, leafy greens, upset. And liver can restore these vital nutrients and dramatically improve stamina. Trace minerals such as zinc, selenium, upset. And manganese also play a role in cellular energy. Though needed in smaller amounts, they are no less important. Upset. Zinc supports enzymes in energy metabolism and immune function. Selenium helps defend the mitochondria from oxidative damage. Upset. And manganese contributes to the breakdown of carbohydrates and fats. Upset. A deficiency in even one of these micronutrients can leave you feeling run down and unable to perform at your best. Upset. The beauty of nutrient-dense foods is that they work synergistically. A plate of kale, salmon, and avocado, for example, upset, doesn't just provide isolated nutrients, it delivers a complex network of vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, upset, and antioxidants that all work together to optimize cellular function. Upset. This is something supplements alone cannot fully replicate. Upset. Whole foods carry a richness and balance that supports the body in ways that are far greater than the sum of their parts. Upset. When you prioritize nutrient density, something remarkable happens. Upset. Your cells finally receive the raw materials they've been missing, and energy production begins to normalize. Upset. Instead of dragging yourself through the day, you feel lighter, more focused, and resilient. Upset. Cravings decrease because the body is no longer searching for missing nutrients. Sleep improves, recovery is faster. Upset. And the fog that once clouded your thinking begins to lift. Upset. It becomes clear that fatigue was not a lack of willpower or simply getting older. It was a deficiency problem. Upset. The path from fatigue to vitality is paved with nutrient-rich foods. By filling your diet with leafy greens, upset. Cruciferous vegetables, wild-caught fish, grass-fed meats, eggs, seeds, nuts, and low-sugar fruits, upset. You give your body the tools to thrive. Energy is not about pushing harder or forcing yourself through exhaustion. Upset. It is about giving your cells what they need so they can produce energy naturally. This is the true power of nutrient density. Upset. And it is the foundation for sustained vitality and long-term health. Do you want me to continue with us? Keynote 5 on stress and cortisol in the same 600-word explanatory style. Upset. Stress is often viewed as purely mental or emotional, but its impact on physical energy is profound. Upset. The body is designed to handle short bursts of stress, such as running from danger or meeting a sudden challenge. Upset. In these moments, the adrenal glands release cortisol, a hormone that helps mobilize energy, sharpen focus. Upset, and increase alertness. This is useful in emergencies, but the problem arises when stress becomes chronic. Upset. When cortisol stays elevated for long periods of time, it flips from being helpful to being harmful. Upset, draining the body's energy reserves and leaving you feeling tired, anxious, and depleted. Upset. Cortisol works by raising blood sugar levels to give you quick energy during stressful situations. However, upset. If your life is filled with ongoing stress, work deadlines, financial worries, relationship conflicts, constant notifications, upset, and lack of downtime, your body continually pumps out cortisol as if you are in danger. Upset. This leads to chronically elevated blood sugar, which then forces the pancreas to release more insulin to manage it. Over time, upset. This cycle contributes to insulin resistance, blood sugar crashes, and fatigue. Upset. What started as a survival mechanism ends up creating an energy crisis. Upset. Another way cortisol drains vitality is by interfering with sleep. Upset. High cortisol levels in the evening make it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Even if you manage to get hours of rest, upset. The quality of that sleep is compromised, leaving you unrefreshed in the morning, upset. Many people live in this state without realizing that their exhaustion is not just from a busy schedule, but from the disruption of their natural circadian rhythm caused by cortisol imbalance, upset. Without restorative sleep, the body cannot repair, recharge, or regulate energy production properly, upset. Cortisol also weakens the immune system over time. While it initially suppresses inflammation, upset. Prolonged exposure actually dysregulates immune function, upset. This not only makes you more vulnerable to illness, but also diverts energy away from daily life as the body struggles to maintain defense, upset. It becomes a hidden drain, upset, where much of your energy is redirected toward dealing with underlying stress and inflammation rather than supporting focus, upset, stamina, and productivity. Nutrient depletion is another consequence of stress, upset. The production of stress hormones consumes B vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, and other critical nutrients, upset. The more stressed you are, the more of these nutrients you burn through. If you don't replace them with nutrient-dense foods, upset. You end up deficient, which further impairs energy production. This creates a vicious cycle. Stress depletes nutrients, upset. Nutrient depletion leads to fatigue, and fatigue makes stress harder to handle. Chronic stress also affects digestion, upset. When cortisol is elevated, upset. Blood flow is diverted away from the digestive system toward the muscles and brain in preparation for fight or flight. Over time, upset. This reduces stomach acid, slows enzyme production, and leads to poor absorption of nutrients. Even if you eat a healthy diet, upset. Your body may not be fully extracting the energy from it. This is why so many people under constant stress suffer from bloating, upset, indigestion, and nutrient deficiencies, all of which contribute to low energy, upset. Breaking this cycle requires actively lowering cortisol and restoring balance to the nervous system, upset. Simple practices like deep breathing, walking outdoors, stretching, meditation, upset. And quality sleep can lower cortisol levels significantly. Physical movement helps burn off stress hormones, upset. While relaxation practices switch the body from fight or flight mode into rest and repair mode, upset. Spending time in nature, turning off screens before bed, upset. And connecting with supportive relationships all signal to the body that it is safe, which allows cortisol to normalize, upset. When cortisol is under control, energy naturally returns. Sleep becomes deeper and more restorative, blood sugar stabilizes, upset, and nutrient absorption improves. Instead of feeling wired and tired, you begin to feel calm yet alert, upset. Stressful events will always occur, but your body regains the resilience to handle them without burning out, upset. This is the key to moving from fatigue to vitality, upset. Managing stress is not about eliminating every challenge from life, but about strengthening your ability to respond in a healthy way, upset. By lowering cortisol and protecting your energy reserves, upset. You create the conditions for true vitality to emerge and stay consistent over time. Shall I continue with Keynote 6 on energy being a choice and transformation through lifestyle inputs in the same way, upset. Energy is often viewed as something outside of our control, as if it depends only on age, luck, or circumstances, upset. People say things like, I just don't have energy anymore, or I'm too old to feel vibrant. The truth is very different, upset. Energy is largely a result of the choices we make every day, the inputs we give our body, and the habits we build. Upset. When you realize this, you understand that vitality is not an accident. Upset. It is something you can actively create by aligning your lifestyle with the way your body is designed to function. Upset. This shift in perspective is empowering because it puts the responsibility back in your hands where it belongs. Upset. The body is built to thrive, but it responds directly to what you feed it, how you rest it, and how you manage stress. Upset. If you give it sugar, processed foods, and constant snacking, upset. You will experience fatigue because your system is overwhelmed and running on unstable fuel. If you provide nutrient-dense meals, upset. Balance fasting periods and quality sleep, your body will reward you with steady energy and mental clarity. Upset. These outcomes are not random. They are the natural result of cause and effect. Upset. Energy is not simply given or taken away. It is cultivated through the conditions you create. Upset. This is why people who overhaul their lifestyle often feel as if they have discovered a new self. Upset. They realize that their chronic fatigue was not a permanent state, but a consequence of their choices. Upset. When they switch to whole foods, cut out sugar, support their nutrient levels, and adopt intermittent fasting, upset. They tap into energy reserves they never knew existed. Upset. What once felt like an uphill struggle becomes effortless because the body is finally operating in alignment with its natural design. Upset. This is not about perfection, but about consistently choosing inputs that support vitality rather than sabotage it. Upset. One of the most powerful aspects of this truth is that even small changes can make a difference. Upset. Replacing one processed meal with a nutrient-rich salad, getting an extra hour of quality sleep. Upset. Or walking outside instead of scrolling on a screen. All of these choices add up. Over time, they create momentum. Upset. The body begins to heal, hormones stabilize, mitochondria function better, and energy levels rise. Upset. Transformation does not happen overnight, but each positive input pushes you further from fatigue and closer to vitality. Upset. Another key point is that energy is not only physical. The mind and body are deeply connected. Choosing to focus on gratitude, upset. To reduce toxic stressors and to surround yourself with positive influences also fuels your vitality. Negative thoughts, upset. Constant worry and unhealthy environments can be just as draining as poor diet or lack of sleep. Upset. Recognizing this connection allows you to take a holistic approach. By improving both your mental and physical inputs, upset. You multiply the benefits and experience a deeper, more sustainable form of energy. Upset. It is also important to recognize that energy is not just for survival. When you reclaim your vitality, upset, you are able to fully live. You can pursue goals, connect with loved ones, and experience life with clarity and enthusiasm. Upset. Many people settle for just getting through the day, but once they realize energy is a choice, upset, they stop settling and start aiming higher. Upset. The gift of abundant energy is that it expands what is possible in every area of life. Ultimately, upset. The journey from fatigue to vitality is about taking ownership. Upset. Instead of waiting for energy to return on its own or relying on stimulants and quick fixes, upset. You actively shape it through your choices. Every meal, every night of rest, every moment of stress management, upset. And every decision to move or stay still contributes to your energy bank. Upset. When you start making decisions that deposit into that bank rather than withdraw from it, your health transforms. Upset. Vitality becomes the new baseline, not the exception. Upset. This is the true meaning of energy being a choice. It is the power to transform your life, starting with the simple upset. Consistent actions you take each day